Hi there, good evening and welcome to This Is Ibrox, your Sunday session for Sunday the 10th of December. My name's Scott Paterson. If you're joining us across our YouTube and Facebook channels tonight, of course, you're very welcome. We thank you. Please get involved in the comments as the next 45 minutes or an hour or so goes on. If you are following us across the social media already, thank you. If you're not, I'm quite happy to remind you we are available across X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on TikTok and Threads. If you are following us across there, it's probably worth taking account rather of our accounts we've got dedicated to the B team and the women's team. On Twitter, the youth handle is TII Youth, and the women's account is at This Is Ibrox RWFC, all in capitals. That RWFC. I'll come back to the women in a second. I will introduce our two contributors for tonight. Really pleased to have the boss on. Tommy, hi, how are you?
I love being referred to as the boss, right? Again, I always say the same thing. None of the team treat me like the boss behind the scenes, right? It's definitely not the case. But the pedant in me then should point out, since I am the boss, X and Twitter are the same thing. There we go, to your intro. But no, really, really good. We'll get a lot of positivity in the room. So, good to be on with yourself and JB.
Jamie, how are you doing? Of course, you're really pleased because both of your teams in blue have given you a really beautiful Sunday, and I can already see beautiful Sunday firing in and around the comments down the right-hand side here. Been a good day for you down there, my friend.
Yeah, it was. As I said to you offline, we had a wee bit of a family gathering today, or a friends and family gathering. We had Santa around and had the games on in the background, and just as Santa come to give the kids the presents, the third goal hit at Rugby Park. So Santa got a fright, the kids got a fright, and so it was a good day.
Tell me, rocks up in your house, JB, in a blue suit instead of a red one.
There was a few blue hats as opposed to red hats, but it was it was good. So good day of football, good weekend of football overall as it's happened. So let's hope for another good week ahead.
Yeah, indeed. Listen, great to have you both on. So I wanted first thing I want to refer to tonight is the women's team who have won 5-0 today. K Park 5-0 doing, we have to say, of Motherwell. Big point to note, really big point to note, is the return of Jane Ross, who came off the bench and scored the last goal of the afternoon right at the death. Having someone like her back into the team, going into the next sort of period of the games, I think is really important for Jo Potter as she continues to strive to get her first league as a gaffer, if you like. I think having Jane Ross in and around the team is really important. If you are checking out our audio channel, I should say, across on Spotify and everywhere else where you get your podcasts, we have recently recorded the latest update. I think it was of course from November. Claire Gemmell and I discussed the importance of Jane Ross and various other bits and pieces. If you do get a chance to jump on, I recommend you do. I want to run through a couple of on this days, guys, before we get into the Dundee game yesterday. 3 in total, all 2-0 victories for Rangers. On this day in 2020, Rangers beat Lech Poznan away in the Europa League Group D. Goals from Cedric Itten and Hadji Itten, scoring against someone that wasn't Motherwell, which was quite surprising. And Glenn Kamara that evening was man of the match. You'll remember when Glenn Kamara got man of the match in a blue jersey. That evening saw us finish finished top, 2 points clear of Benfica, and allowed us to qualify for the last 32. And on this day in 2011, we went, and Ali McCoy's led Rangers team went 7 points clear at the top of the league. Nikola Jelavic with a double at Easter Road. Carlos Bocanegra, who was at Rangers yesterday, actually, he was in the director's box yesterday, saw him yesterday, looking very well, very suave, as you would expect him to be. He had played for Rangers that afternoon. And on this day in 2000, Rangers beat Motherwell 2-0 at Ibrox. Bert Conterman with his first goal for the club, and Barry Ferguson also scoring on that afternoon. The goalkeeper for Motherwell that day, and they got him. So 3 really good on this days and positive, and it's really what we're going to try and go for tonight. Before we
Super Bert Conterman.
Super Bert Conterman. Well, if memory serves me right, his second goal was that goal, wasn't it?
I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. Well, so yeah, it was an absolute cracker in a very muddy field.
Yes. I worry we may be looking at a similar muddy field come this time next week. However, we shall see. Before I get into the game, JB, I want to come to you first, because yesterday it was really good to see Michael Moles on the pitch at half-time, wasn't it?
No, fantastic. Yeah, obviously it was one of them moments a few weeks ago, wasn't it, where you kind of just flicking through social media, then that comes up and it just kind of takes your breath away a wee bit. He was fantastic, wasn't he? I think he's one of them. I think everyone who supports Rangers growing up, whether they were kicking the ball around the yard or in 5-a-side, 7-a-side, tried to do the Moles turn, and I still don't think anyone has probably mastered it other than him. But no, he was obviously, first of all, he was a fantastic player, and obviously it was a tragedy what happened to him, obviously away at Bayern Munich, but. No, wish him well. He's still heavily involved with the club. Does a hell of a lot of charity work and stuff, doesn't he? Still with the Rangers charity, and no, it was great to see him looking well. Obviously, he's been in training a few weeks with his Rangers top, so no, he's been looking really well. It's good to see him. Good to see him back fighting fit.
You know, Tommy, one of the things that I was really struck by, I think it's almost easy for these old players to come on the pitch and take the adulation of the support. He seemed genuinely sort of dumbfounded by the reaction he got, and I think it speaks to Jamie's point about everyone was really aware about how serious his health was so very, very recently, and how that operation has, and I don't want to go all casually Holby City, but it has given him maybe a bit of fresh outlook and maybe a second chance, if you like.
Oh, well, I think if anybody goes through a medical issue of that serious nature, and it was life-threatening, you know, there had to be medical intervention to it. You're absolutely right. So it's not just coming back to take the applause of, right, here's a player. Everybody was pouring a bit of emotion into that as well, because he's somebody who, you know, served us well. The injury wasn't his fault. Damn you, Oliver Kahn. Right? He was too nice to jump over. I'm not going to go down the old cliche of what would have happened if that when it happened that night and all that. Oddly enough, I was there that night. I was behind the goal where they scored the penalty.
Right.
And we did batter them that night. We battered them. Just like we battered them at Ibrox, and they got that deflected free kick past Charbonnier. Was in goal?
Yeah, it was Charbonnier, I think.
Charbonnier. But yeah, to anybody who's thinking of going to the Euros and all that, Germany, just a great place to go. It's got everything you pretty much need for a great away trip. But yeah, listen, it was a great purchase from, I think it was Utrecht, I want to say as well. It's always nice to see somebody, you know, beat the odds and come through. The fact that he was a really, really good talent speaks to all that as well. You're right, you could see it written on his face. It was a shared moment with the fans in the stadium of, thank you for recognising me. I've been through a hell of a lot. I'm just glad to be here. You know, and I'm sure in the back of his mind, being the competitor that he was, now let's go and see his stump Dundee. So yeah, I think it all worked out pretty well for him, and I'm glad to see he's recovering well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really good to see him back. And so often we speak about players that come into Glasgow that get it, in air commas, for anyone listening on Spotify, that was air commas. But
that's I'm coming for you for the rest of the podcast, having just done the air commas.
And I did do the on screen as well.
All bets are off.
Do you know that way? He clearly was someone who came into the club and he just got it. He obviously arrived at a time where there was 3 or 4 other Dutchmen that dropped up, which would have entirely made things a little bit easier. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But he gets it and he comes back and the fans lap it up. And do you know what I mean? Yeah, he could have been so much better than what he actually was, which we all know about. Listen, let's get into yesterday. Rangers beat Dundee 3-1. I want to run in straight into the teams. There was one glaring omission, JB, as you're rocking up to the stadium and you're seeing Connor Goldson isn't starting. Are you instantly thinking, is he injured? Or please tell me he's just been rested?
I actually sometimes look at the bench before I look at the start 11, just to try and second guess myself in them split seconds, and I've seen his name there quite clearly, so I don't think I was too concerned. But no, it was it made sense. It's been a hell of a few weeks previously, and a hell of a few weeks ahead. And naturally, with the certain players not being in the squad, and I think we've covered that ground a few times. Naturally, we're going to see some. Naturally, I thought yesterday we were going to see some players rested. I actually thought it was going to be a good opportunity for Yilmaz because, obviously, as we know, not available Thursday. So I thought that one would have been a wee bit of a no-brainer. And possibly 1 or 2 others, but no, he's he's built a good little core now. There's a lot of players who've gone to the well over the last few weeks, and Goldson's one, as we know. He's when available, he plays. Obviously, a very likeable character from all managers. Does has his faults. If he was perfect, he probably wouldn't be here. When you look at the standard of some of the centre halves in England, so wasn't too concerned, to be honest. And actually, sometimes gives you that wee bit of excitement, because I've wanted to see Souttar play on the right hand side. And kind of see what does he offer. Do you know what I mean? We've seen a lot of him at Hearts, and we always thought, right, he'll be a good centre half, he'll do a job for us, but he's always playing on the left hand side, so you kind of hold that back against him a wee bit. So I was looking forward to seeing him, and other than a few Souttar standard slips, he wasn't too bad. So yeah, not too concerned with the starting 11. But yeah.
So let's just go through that starting 11 then, Tommy. Butland in goals, as I think we've come to expect. Back four: Tav, Souttar, Balogun, Barisic, Lundstrom, Cifuentes sitting. Sima, Cantwell, Matondo, who I'm sure you'll come on to because I know you're a big fan of Matondo, and Dessers was through the middle. I'll just run through the bench first, because this is something that we'll come to later on. Robbie McCrory, Yilmaz, Goldson did have a place on the bench. Lammers was there, Sterling was there, Roof was there. We also had, and I'm trying to remember who BD is, I can't remember. We had Leon King, we had Ross McCausland, BD. I've just wrote down the initials and I can't remember who that is. That's terrible.
Ben Davies.
Ben Davies, goodness me, of course. It just shows you I'm not the only one that's forgetting Ben Davies by all accounts. However,
the reason why I come in here and just make sure that the quality is maintained every couple of weeks.
It's the only way we have you back on, mate.
I'm the Ben Davies of the podcast. Hold on a minute. Oh, this is not what I wanted to sound like.
And listen, Scott AJ Riley's positioning and timing is absolutely perfect. I wondered if, considering the noise we had last week about Sima, permanent moves, etc., and discussions with people in Brighton, blah, 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 I wondered if yesterday may have been the opportunity to see him through the middle. It was interesting that Clement still went with Dessers and continues to give him an opportunity when Danilo perhaps isn't around.
But I've been wanting to see that, right? And I think Philippe Clement maybe doesn't see it naturally, likes him out wide or whatever. He's trying to continue any sort of confidence building with Cyril Dessers, etc. But I mean, I said, I think a couple of weeks ago when I was on, that Rangers had already started having conversations with Brighton in the background, not just about Sima, but they were also down there getting a wider view of what Brighton do in the background in terms of their scouting network, in terms of their academy, all that type of stuff. There's a good relationship between the clubs. Yeah. So they were down there as part of a wider conversation, but Sima absolutely came up in that conversation in terms of what's the opportunity and the ability to get him here. So, and he's somebody that I would definitely take. I think he's got everything that you're needing. Actually, oddly, right, people might disagree with me here, but the way that Dessers was sold to us, to some extent, is what Sima actually is. In terms of he'll drive at people, he gets goals, he's big, he's strong, he'll run the space, he's good in the air, he's instinctive, all that type of good stuff. Yes, he's still really young, I think 23 or in there somewhere. So he's going to have bad moments. But I think it's an absolute no-brainer, right? As everything always comes back to what's the amount of money, right? But if it's a palatable amount of money, you get Sima signed up as a full-time member of Rangers, because I can only see him making more money and delivering for you in the jersey. So, yeah, I like everything about him, and I think he can absolutely play through the middle as well. But, if he gets goals from out wide as well, and that allows somebody else to come through the middle and score, then so much the better. You want all your forward players scoring. He's certainly growing more and more into the shirt as every week goes by.
Yeah, 100%. Ian Mitchell from the podcast gets involved, and with every goal he gets, his value goes up, which, as I can say, I think that's quite fair. I would like to imagine that there's some sort of agreement. And Tommy, go for it.
I do worry. This is not one for the audio listeners, so my apologies out there, people in the audio. But that's quite a smart picture of Ian that he's got there as his wee bio picture. I take it he's at the wedding, his wedding there, or he's maybe doing a best man speech or something. That looks like there's a kilt involved.
Yeah, maybe something for Great Universal.
I'm thinking, it's a hell of a way to turn up at court. But
he was the waiter.
Oh, brilliant. That's brilliant. Jamie, I tell you, I wanted to skip through first 5 minutes at Ibrox yesterday. Were really quite busy. Rangers got off to quite a really promising start. I thought we looked really quite good. We hit the ground running. Cifuentes forces a relatively decent save out of the goalkeeper early doors. However, I think it's a signal of intent at that point that we were going to try and be in the front foot. Out of nowhere, and I have to say, Jack Butland's highlights reel at the end of this season, I think, are going to be really, really good. He makes an excellent save. His first touch of the game, actually, I'm sure it was, from Lyle Cameron. Now, Dundee had Lyle Cameron and Luke McCowan playing for them. I have to say, I thought both were actually quite good yesterday. I thought they played quite well in the centre of the park. Indeed, John Walker, I think, refers to McCowan in the this Ibrox analysis thread that went out last week. If you get a chance to look at that, please do. Watch for it coming out on a weekly basis. Both were very good. But coming back to the Butland save, you know, I feel like I repeat myself when I talk about Jack Butland now, but big moments, big games, you need a big keeper. 4 minutes in, at home, crappy afternoon on Saturday. We really need the goalkeeper to be there, and it's a great save so early on.
Yeah, no, it was, as you touched on there, I think Philip Clement agreed. I think somebody questioned, that it was in the press room, questioned the Rangers' start to the game. I think Clement gave them the death stare, didn't he? We started really well, and we did. I think we probably could have got a couple in the first couple of minutes. You know, it was real aggressive, and I thought, oh, this is what we've been after. Do you know what I mean? Let's not let teams settle. Let's not give them a chance. And then lo and behold, I think I nudged my dad and went, we started really well here. It's good to see. Bang, 1-0. But no, cracking save just in the lead up to that. And I think he's just been a fantastic piece of business. I think we could probably sit on here every week, couldn't we, and just praise something that he's done. I mean, even down to his distribution has been absolutely fantastic. He's probably the most two-footed goalie I've seen since Ronald Vateros.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of takes it either side, really comfortable. I think there was a dodgy little moment at the end of the first half. He got his feet stuck a wee bit, so could have been left with egg on his face on that one. But I think as a rule, he's just he's just a Rangers goalkeeper, isn't he? Do you know, like in terms of he looks confident, he looks reliable. Mightn't have much to do in the game, but when there's a big moment to be done, then he stands up and gets counted. I can't think of a goal this season other than maybe the PSV away one, one of many. That you look at him and go, he should have done better with that. Whereas the last few years we've just come accustomed to go, well, the goalie doesn't come for that one, does he? Or it's the same goals we're conceding from set pieces, whatever it might be, but he just brings that level of calmness, and it must be an absolute delight to play in front of. So, no, super pleased. And as you say, lively start. Sometimes that goal can either go one or two ways. It can either kick you up the arse or you can feel sorry for yourself. But I thought the team responded quite well, to be fair.
Cubby brings up a really fair point. Butland could, and by the looks of things, was he a bit early to say he'll save us this season. However, I think it's quite safe to say that come the end of the season, regardless of where Rangers end up, Jack Butland's first year in Scottish football is going to be a really promising one. I think everyone's been really happy with what they've seen. Big gloves to fill, etc., etc., etc. He's going to be in discussion, Tommy, for our player of the year, I would certainly suspect. We did go 1-0 down, of course, yesterday. And with Golson not there, and that good old-fashioned organisation that you maybe need from all your defenders, but if you've got one centre-half that's used to doing it, I think that is Golson out the back four. We did not deal with that cross ball well at all, did we?
No, we didn't. And obviously there'd been the breakthrough right through the centre before that, where Butland makes the save. And I think the last man actually that Bakayoko goes through. I think it is Bakayoko before he scores.
Yeah,
quite soon after. I think it's Lundstrom. He goes through. I'm not calling out John Lundstrom. He pretty much goes through the entire centre back pairing, whatever. But some of that's to do with what JB was talking about earlier, and yourself as well, that you've seen Suter on that right-hand side. You've got no Golson doing the talking. You're just getting two separate people trying to figure themselves out, probably somewhere consciously aware of long balls over the top through the middle. I would like to hope they'd be aware of them anyway, right? So just a wee bit of that kind of getting used to it, and what you're looking for is your goalkeeper to step up so he makes that big save. And then, we don't defend the set piece particularly well. I think that's now becoming a bit more of an aberration than we've seen historically of Rangers teams maybe struggling with some set pieces and all that. We don't look fraught with ourselves. So, listen, you learn, to JB's point as well, you get an immediate reaction. Actually, Philippe Clement was out on the touchline quite regularly, just tweaking stuff, talking to players, making sure there wasn't a drop. So we could get back in and it didn't become too toxic. In terms of Butland, I don't want to walk past them. It just shows you the value of finding a club where a player can be, or a goalkeeper can be believed, and then given a big responsibility and showing they've got that mentality to come through. And I know he's had some injuries previously and all that, but when you look at his career, out with of, I think the time he was at Stoke, where he was essentially the number one towards the back 5 years or whatever. It's, Barnsley loan, Leeds loan, Derby loan, Crystal Palace loan, Man U, it doesn't work out, Rangers. As a guy who just needed to find a club to say, I am the number one.
Yeah.
Trust me. And then go out and deliver week after week after week. And I think everybody's bought into the fact that when you watch him and you hear him speak, he's up front, he's honest, and you can tell immediately he's one of those guys behind the scenes that is a standard setter. What are you doing that for? Don't half-arse it. That's not how we do the things in training. I imagine he's a big voice for Philippe Clement in them. Yeah,
100%. I do see, and I'll just bring this up actually, because I think it's a fair point, and I think it's something that we maybe never ever think of, because, Gareth Southgate, I don't think would come up to Scotland to pick an outfield player for his team. Jamie, it's maybe one you're worth commenting on, because you're down there and in the woods with it all. But RFC 72 makes a fair point with Sam Johnston and Nick Pope out injured, considering Ramsdale isn't getting any game time with Arsenal at all. Is Butland an option for Gareth Southgate in that setup? What do you think?
I'd like to say yeah, because I think it'd be great kudos for Butland and a reward for what he's done so far. I think the only thing you've got with Southgate is he'd probably be more likely to bring through the under-21, so James Trafford, who's playing regular at Burnley, albeit not doing particularly well. But I think that is probably more of the model that Southgate would go to, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think it would be great for us, wouldn't it? I mean, when we obviously all remember our last England number one many moons ago, but it was... I think it would be, as I say, it would be recognition for him, but I'd rather he never, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'd rather he just stayed where he was and just keeps doing what he's doing. We don't tend to have too much luck when we send players on international duty, so no, let's just tell everyone down here that he's not doing too well, and we'll move on.
I love the point about players going away for international duty. I think I've said here before, I sit next to the director's box, and Ryan Jack was sitting 3 seats away from me yesterday. And, a penny for his thoughts as he continues not to play football after going away for a 2-match sort of party with Scotland. Just comes back and doesn't play football at a time when we need all of our players to be able to play football, particularly experienced ones, as we go into a really critical part of the season with big games to come, which we'll come to later on. But Ryan Jack is someone who I think Rangers would be better off having right now, as opposed to him having the director's box, and I'm sure he thinks the same.
I do wonder, just on that, I do wonder if Ryan Jack's thinking around that would be different had we not qualified for a tournament.
Yeah.
In terms of he wants to be on that plane, you can understand that, right? Will he, want to play for Scotland thereafter? I'm not entirely sure, fatigue and injuries catching up with him and stuff like that. But I get your point. I agree with it. But I can understand players as well saying, listen, this might be my shot to get in there and be part of a big tournament and maybe be part of the first ever Scotland squad to go through in the group. So that's appealing to some people.
Tommy, I'll stick with you. We got back into the game yesterday eventually. 19 minutes in, Cyril Dessers gets his 7th goal of his Rangers career since he came in the summer. Had a couple of moments sort of in between. He had a really good moment right at the start, I have to say. And he had a couple of moments in between Dundee taking the lead and us equalising. I thought it looked like a really good finish. I think it does take a deflection to take it up into the roof of the net, but he took it well, was in the right position to score as well, you have to say.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right with the deflection. I mean, it definitely takes it. But yeah, I thought there was a wee bit... I mean, I'm not saying he was great, because he wasn't. Right, and we know that we're starting with Serial Dessers with a low bar, right? But again, part of a winning side, coming in, getting a goal, getting a run out, the manager showing a bit of faith in them. If we all believed what we were saying a couple of weeks back and what Ronald de Boer said when he signed, which is, he kind of comes with confidence, right? If you can get him confident and believing in himself, then he's a bit more instinctive, and you get that Dessers that we maybe saw in the YouTube clips and all that kind of good stuff. Well, slowly but surely, Philippe Clement's putting the bricks back in the wall and saying, there you go in there, get yourself a goal. It doesn't have to be a stunning performance, but, line one, you're a striker, please go and score. Okay, I've done it. I got a wee bit of luck. Quite frankly, if your strikers are lucky, that's not a bad thing as well. So, yeah, he didn't particularly, do anything wrong. Didn't really, shine a light on himself other than the goal, but the goal's the thing. Get goals. You can't compare a performance of his to a performance of Seema at the moment because Seema's flying.
Yeah.
But if you can get more and more out of Serial Dessers slowly but surely, you end up with one of two things. A player who's performing and who's grown into the jersey. Magic, congratulations, because that's what we all want. We want players to do well. Or a player who's slowly but surely rehabilitated himself back towards a sale price that we can all get comfortable with, and you move him on out the door. So no bad thing whatsoever. Minimum viable product. He's done it. He's got a goal. Fantastic. Keep doing that, please.
JB, it was 2-1. 5 minutes later, did you think it was a pen?
Yeah. Would I have thought it was a pen probably 2 seasons ago, pre-VAR? Probably not. I'd have probably gone, just move on, and you see it and you go, oh, you could have given that. But I think in this day and age, it's just a no-brainer, especially in Scotland, because of the focus that's on it. I just don't, it's absolute madness from the defender. I'm dreading the day that we do it, because there'll be every man and his dog will be on it like a rash.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping the players are obviously alive to that, which they appear to be. Because trust me, if there had been one share pull this season in the box, it would have been highlighted probably 1,000 times in DVDs and cinemas filled showing it. Do you know what I mean? So I think, it's a penalty in this day and age, and I'm kind of frustrated it's the same instance coming up against us, because you're almost just like, oh, can we move on? Can we have a penalty for handball or just something else? It does sometimes deflect away from the good wins that we've been rocking up the last few weeks. So penalty for me, and I know we'll get to it, but excellently executed as well.
Yeah. Paul McGarrigle has as good a memory as I think anyone who watches us on a Sunday night, and he instantly remembers that Big Nico was penalised for a pool.
I swear Paul gets sight of the agenda from you or somebody else, right? He's always out there. I'm not going to quite call you Stato, Paul, right? But you're getting into that territory as far as I'm concerned, buddy, right? But he's always there, and he's plugged in. He's plugged in. Fair Paul.
Engaged.
It's like having a fact checker, right? One of these political programs. You say something, and there's Paul going, right, the wee paperclip on the old Microsoft. Actually, I think you'll find this is how you do it. Jeez, right, okay, good to hear, Paul.
So we go 2-1 up, and of course it was a very reliable captain to step up and hit the penalty. I didn't think James Tavernier had a great game yesterday. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think he was alone, but he didn't have a great game. Was good enough, of course, to step up and put us 2-1 up, and indeed took the corner, Tommy, for a third and final goal of the afternoon. And I remember, can you remember the header that Goff scored against Celtic at the other end of the pitch? I'm sure it was that. Yeah, that's the one. And again, for anyone doing the sport,
that before Paul jumps in with an emoji. Even I can remember things every now and again. There we go.
But as soon as I saw it, Tommy, I instantly thought of that, and it was Seema, and it was a great header. Put us 3-1 up, and perhaps speaking to Ian Mitchell's point from earlier on this evening, goals like that will inevitably add value to his price tag.
Yeah, but before I answer your question, I got to face into well, I don't want to face into seafood and eat it, right? But that's maybe the wrong way to verbalise that. But I actually do have pictures on the wall, and that they're all on the wall that's facing me, right? So I don't particularly like having pictures that people can see and all that type of stuff, because I think it's distracting. All my pictures of my family and all that type of stuff are all where I can see them on a daily basis, where when people frustrate me, I can look up and I can see the people that matter to me. That's the honest answer. There you go. I'm not being glib about it. That's the genuine honest answer. It's like the Simpsons episode where he puts the stuff over it. You know what I mean? Do it for her. You're here forever. It's a picture of all the TII guys with "You're here forever," Tommy. So there's the honest answer. Seafood, so to speak. But but back to the question in terms of it's nice to see somebody going to the ball and actually attacking it with intent. Actually, again, not to make a joke of Paul, because I'm definitely not doing that. He referenced Katic, Katic as well in terms of a goal at Parkhead.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Smashing it, really wanting it. And we all know that there's a dynamic there. That you see one of them, you think, we always score for corners, but it never really happens. It's just nice to see somebody who is good to go at it. And then there we are. Bluebells are blue. I'm doing that just to get under your skin as well, right? I'm being as open as I possibly can today. But listen, fantastic header, fantastic quality. We know that's in the locker as well. But it shows that he's got that in his locker. See, he's got a lot of talent for a young guy. He's an absolute buy for me. I say earlier as well. If we can get to a figure that's reasonable, I would absolutely take him. I mean, people were falling over themselves at a certain point of time and saying Malik Tillman and stuff like that. Well, I will say that Sima is beyond what Malik Tillman was showing, and I appreciate the different areas of the pitch and all that, but I would spend my money on Sima immediately.
I think that's fair, and Jamie, Tommy brings up a really good point. The desire for him to get to the ball, do you know what I mean? To get up, be first to the ball, and make and it was a really, really good connection. And the Rangers on Tour refers to the goal that Shooter scored, which was an absolute cracker. And they were all Shooter, Katic, Goff. I never thought I'd say those three in the same sentence, certainly, but there was just a desire to get to the ball. He wanted to get there. He wanted to win it, and ultimately it put us at that point. You think we're on easy street, don't you?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think the word desire probably summed up Seaman's performance yesterday as a whole. I thought his out with the goal. I thought his work rate was absolutely fantastic. Some of the runs that he was putting in, and even just adding where really physical and stuff. There was one, was it second half, and not that there was added pressure, but we kind of just sat back for about 10-15 minutes, and we thought we'll just absorb you and try and get you on the break. And then you normally think that would be Seaman's job then to do that. He's throwing slide tackles in at the edge of the box, you know what I mean? And good slide tackles, nice and clean and everything. So I think to Tommy's point, it's getting towards a no-brainer with him. And to Ian's point earlier, let's do it as quickly as we can, because let's have it right. If he continues on this form, we won't be the only club that's looking to sign him. It'd be great if we've already got something kind of a deal in play already. A little Tillman style deal would have been good, but obviously the Super Ross Wilson's not here to arrange that one for us. Jokes, by the way. But it was again, you can't fault him. I think I've said that on a couple of pods now. Genuinely the worst 44 minutes I've ever seen from any Rangers player against PSV at home. Rocketed that one into the top corner, and it was like, oh, right, he's arrived. And then pretty much since then, I don't think he's looked back. I think it's an absolute no-brainer to go with him up through the middle on Thursday. I just think the type of game it's going to be, and a lack of possession. Last thing we need is, and I know we'll get into this in a bit, is the ball ping-ponging back. We need to utilise the skills that he's got. And I think Thursday's going to be a great chance to potentially do that. But no, couldn't be any more pleased for him, and obviously with the contributions he's given.
Rangers on Tour with a great point, and John Walker actually raised this in a WhatsApp group earlier on today. There's a good chance he'll be disappearing to African Cup of Nations. So the focused almost sort of means that everyone else, we really need to extract the digit and get themselves onto the score sheet a bit better than what they've been doing previously. Jamie, I'm going to stick with you because we all know that Michael Beale has referred to Cifuentes as the player that would take us to the very next level. I actually think the last two games, I thought he was okay at Tynecastle midweek. I thought he played okay. And I thought he was okay yesterday until he got the red card. I personally don't think it was a red card. I wasn't even convinced it was a yellow, to be honest with you. However, we all know that if there's an opportunity to sort of stop the momentum for the Rangers, particularly in their own place, he's definitely going to do that. It was never a red card, was it?
No, but again, jumps back to that the example with the penalty. In this day and age, it is, because it's a relatively straight leg. It's endangering the opponents. I think it was weak. Do you know what I mean? But I can see why it was given. If that was against us, I'd probably want it, albeit I would probably say it's weak as well. So it's very similar to the penalty for me, in the fact that it's if you put yourself in that position, unfortunately nowadays, it's going to happen. There was a similar one in did Greg Taylor do something similar right through someone's ankle the other week? And obviously that one, I don't know if that went to VAR, if that got checked, but there seems to be it's one of them very grey areas. I think if that was a Livingston v Dundee, I don't think it probably would have been set off, but obviously all eyes are on everything at the moment, and the referees are absolutely petrified to make the wrong decisions. So I can see why it was given. Don't agree with it, but I can see why. But I thought the referee, just as a whole, yesterday, just some absolute bizarre decisions. I know we've stepped past the Dessa's potential foul on Bakayoko, which Cantwell picked up, and obviously real good finish. I mean, how great would that have been for Cantwell to score that type of goal? Because for a player who's got the ability to probably be hitting double figures for us, probably needs to get off the mark a little bit quicker now with his goal scoring exploit. So a strange afternoon for the referee as a whole, but I don't think we're shocked anymore now, are we, to be honest?
Yes, or maybe not strange. It's maybe
not
the more
strange, it's probably gone the other way now, definitely.
So listen, we go in 3-1 up at half time, of course, a man down. Tommy came out in the second half, and Cantwell comes off at half time, and Matondo comes off. I didn't think Matondo had a particularly good 45 minutes, so I wasn't hugely surprised for him to come off. I think and hope that Cantwell coming off was more a matter of game management as much as anything else, with Europa League and League Cup Final action to come Thursday, Sunday next week. Second half, I should say, on came Dujon Sterling to play midfield. Felt really sorry for him. Quite clearly not a centre midfielder, but his work rate was incredible. Never stopped for 45 minutes, ran himself in the ground. Ross McCausland came on, and I felt was generally quite impressive again. From a highlights perspective in the second half, it wasn't a great sort of 45 minutes to watch. McCausland brings out a save. Cameron brings out another save from Butland. The one thing I do want to bring up, and this was really interesting for me, on the hour mark, Philippe Clement got a yellow card again from Mr. Clancy. And yesterday I felt Clement was really, really animated, and I love seeing that. I love seeing a Rangers manager that gets really pissed off about things in the same manner that you and I and 48,000 other Bears get pissed off about things. And it was very interesting to see as Clancy shows him the yellow card and he runs away onto the sort of body of the pitch. Clement is giving him dog's abuse, and there's no doubt he's probably hearing every word of what was going on. Clement's at a time now, I think, where 12 games in, everyone's very happy. We know that game 13 and 14 are going to be very important. We'll come to them very shortly. But I think we're seeing a passion with Philippe Clement that we've not seen with the previous two guys in that role.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, just aside to that, I am a beacon of calm in the stadium whenever I'm there in my usual seat, to be honest with you. But despite what the police reports might say, but so I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see passion more than anything else. I like to see the passion after I know that the guy knows what he's doing, right? And I think we've all understood now that Philippe Clement is real in terms of the ability that he's got and where he's been, right? You don't win 3 titles by being a joker anyway, but you know what I mean in terms of fitting in terms of getting up and showing a bit of passion and getting into Clancy. Not fair enough, absolutely. I mean, I don't want manager saying off or anything like that, but it's no bad thing to see somebody. To be fair, I mean, I only went to I want to wait to be a linesman or a referee, and I see Philippe Clement hurrying himself towards me. I'm thinking, oh, right, well, I'm right, okay. Did I get to the exit? So, no, listen, it's brilliant. We all want that. You get fired up. The players get fired up as well because they see their manager going in for them as well and saying, right, he's not willing to stand for it. So it's all that building towards getting a team where you want it, getting the players all pulling in the right direction, getting the manager and all that. There's none of that distance maybe that some of the players spoke about with the previous managerial regime once it started to become difficult. To your point as well about people like Sterling, very much on topic. Philippe Clement was talking about taking off Cantwell in terms of against Aris because he was asking him to do a job that was on, out on the wing. It's not natural, but he was looking for something. Same with Sterling. Listen, I need to pitch you in, son. Can you get in there and can you just work for me for 45? Because we're a man down, we're 3-1 up. We should see it out. I don't want this to go wrong here. And McCausland out there will give their backline something to think about because he'll be direct and pacey. But just get in there and do your best Kante impression in terms of work for two. And I don't need, I'm not saying Kante doesn't have quality in the ball because he does, but I don't need lots from you. What I need is to break up and be destructive. And he did that as best he could. You're not looking for him to play 40-yard diagonal pings across or anything like that. So his players working for him. He's pragmatic. I've said that before. I've got my 3 goals. I'm looking at my 3 points. If people aren't really happy in the stands with the style of football in the second half, I can live with that because I'm going to shrug and go, let's see what the other team do tomorrow. Right. So I'll take that every day of the week because this team with momentum, and we'll get onto that in a minute, especially after what happened earlier today, just need to keep winning. It's not about fancy football at the moment. It's about keeping winning. And I'll take that in any way, shape or form that I can at this point in time.
JB, of course, Sterling cracks the post right at the death of the match. As I say, I did feel sorry for him when he came on because you knew, and Tommy's kind of alluding to the fact he was going put on to do a job. I felt when he came on midweek at Hearts, he looked very good playing down that left-hand side. Obviously not a position that he's here for. I think he looked good there and he put in a good shift, I think, without sort of setting the heather on fire. So we finished the game yesterday and it's down to, we're 8 points behind them. 5 points behind them, wasn't it? 5 points behind them. And of course, they're travelling to Rugby Park to JB. And I don't want this to turn into we still need to get our points in the bag for what it's worth. I think it's easy to forget that. We're in a really good position with games to come. One game to come on the 20th, which I think is the St Johnstone game that's been rearranged, which all things being equal could put us within 2 points before we go to Celtic Park. And you and I spoke before the podcast began. We have went for a wee while now just wanting to be on their coattails, make sure that we go to Celtic Park and we're on the coattails. We've got the opportunity now to go to Celtic Park, and a result there could mean a very, very different end to the calendar year. And I would argue probably a situation that maybe 6 weeks or so ago, certainly before Clement came in, I don't think we thought we would have been in this position come the end of December.
No, I think we've turned going to Parkhead. Everything goes according to plan. We've turned that game now into a must not lose, whereas before it was a we must win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be an interesting few weeks because one thing about the one thing about the Rangers fans is as things go bad, unless we think things are really bad, i.e. Beale against Aberdeen, I don't think we get too frustrated. Whereas on the other side of the city, things will get toxic very quickly if they start to see things unravel. If we can go there before that winter break and get a good win, similar to what we did a few years ago, the game that Paul referenced earlier, with Ryan Kent and Katic. If we can go there and give that type of performance and go into the winter break really positive, and the manager's then got a good few weeks to try and implement more. Let's not forget, he's only been in the door a few weeks. He's had a couple of international breaks. The injuries have been absolutely horrific. But again, to your point earlier, we've just got to look after ourselves. This Rangers team has proved, and some of these players have proved time and time again, when the pressure's on, then sometimes they crumble. So we just need to build that. I said it a couple of weeks on one of the pods. We just need to build a bit of momentum. Just keep going, try and get performances and out of the likes of your Dessers, and if we get Rabbi Matondo fit and getting him a wee run, the guys who are doing well continue to do well. A wee bit of luck with injuries. Keep saying that, but at some point things have got to balance out a little bit. Can Kamar Roof, can he give us 10 games on the bounce where he gives us something, even if it's off the bench? But yeah, it's going to be an exciting run all the way through now. Each week's going to be massive and no bigger than the week ahead, which is not focusing on the league, but definitely loads of eyes. Have they got a game next week?
I'm not entirely sure. They will have. I think they'll be played. They will obviously have a home game against someone. No one will be bothering their arse about it because the Rangers are in town, certainly. But Connie, you spoke about momentum, which I think is really, really important right now. Not necessarily because of what happened today at Rugby Park, but because of the two games we have coming up. You know what I mean? We know Clermont is 12 in, unbeaten. 13's a rubbish number to come up against in any sort of walk of life, but we are aware that match number 13 for Clermont will be on Thursday night in the Europa League in Betis. 14, of course, will come on Sunday, the League Cup Final at Hampden. Momentum now is really, really important from tomorrow morning onwards for this week.
It is. I mean, this season is brought to you by the words momentum and consistency. Right? That's pretty much it. I suppose you can make the argument that every season is brought to you with those words, right? But the point being that even in this season, we've got a bit of history. It went so badly wrong. We looked like, even though the club internally were saying, "Oh, listen, we think we can still stay in this. We're making the change and all that type of stuff," and fans always believe. I think there was an element of they're just going to accelerate away. They're a team that knows how to win, and we've just blown it after such a really positive pre-season and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we didn't naturally expect to be here at this point.
No.
Right? But we're in it. Right? I mean, don't be wrong, I'd much rather be 5 points clear with my rivals having a game in hand. There's no two ways about that, right? I'm not going to dress this up in the window, but we put ourselves squarely back into it, right? To be able to make, if we match their points up to the old firm, then it's in your own hands. Right? You go in there and you could actually overhaul them. It's really that simple, right? So, in a way, like I'm saying as well, and I agree with JB and yourself and everybody else in terms of momentum is really important. In a slightly nuanced way, Philippe Clement has got a little bit of a window here, or a doorway, I should say, to be able to pack it into separate boxes, right? I'm mixing up my metaphors left, right, and centre, right? It's been a very busy day. But in terms of he's focusing into a European competition, and he can say, right, lads, we treat this on its own merits. Right, there you go. It's not a run of league games. We'll come to that in a minute. It's a European game. And by the way, no matter what happens, I know you're going to win it, but there'll still be European football after Christmas, right? But it's a thing. It's a singular moment in time. Then you go cup final. Right, guys, this is the big one. Get the trophy in there, really set a standard, get everybody pulling in the same direction. Boom, moment in time. Then you turn your guns to go, right, you've got 3 games on the bounce now. You need to bring in St Johnstone, you need to go away to Motherwell, and then you need to have Ross County. All 3 winnable games, right? Yeah. So you're looking for 9 points and putting the pressure on your rivals. That, lads, is not a singular moment in time. That's a block. I want my 9 points, right? And then you're into the last singular moment in time of 23 to say, right, can we go there now and overhaul them or stay right in next to them? And that is something that we didn't expect to be saying at this point in the season, given what had just happened at the earliest point. So we've managed to get ourselves right back into it. They're looking over the shoulder going, why are we dropping points? We can't get this win, etc., etc. Rangers just need to focus on what's in front of them now really, really carefully. Europe, Cup Final, league games, 3 in a trot, and then we go into the Old Firm game to see if we can set that standard and right the ship completely. And then Philippe Clement gets a chance to mix up the personnel as well come January and really go for the jugular. So I'm incredibly positive about it. There might be some rocky results in there. Nothing's guaranteed. But if you're asking me, which you might, so I'm willing to go early, I'll take a defeat on Thursday if I was forced to. We need to win the Cup Final. And my 9 points is immovable. I reckon you do need the 9 points to go into that Old Firm game. Guns drawn. Let's see what the shootout looks like.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. And what's more, I actually think that it's 3 relatively kind games, and you don't want to sort of build it up too much, because we've got 2 huge games to come before those 3 league games. And I can hear people screaming 1 game at a time, Scott, etc., which I get. I understand that. But the 3 league games that we have to play before Celtic are absolutely all winnable. And they should indeed be games that any Rangers manager, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Michael Beale, they should be looking to take maximum points from those 3 games, whether at home or away. As far as I'm concerned, Charles Dalrymple joins us. Hi, Charles, new name. Welcome to the pod. The Mourinho and Guardiola mentality of get the first trophy in as soon as possible to set a marker for your season. Clement in the driving seat to get his first trophy early on, then put his stamp on his team, which I think is absolutely fair. Talks to your point, Tommy. January is going to be interesting, because I do think that if we win the League Cup final and we do something on the 30th, it'll be very interesting to see how much money he rightly will be passed in January. So we look forward to just seeing how that goes. Lots of football to play before then.
Sorry, my apologies. Sorry to interrupt. I should just say, right, I'm mixing that up in a what would you do scenario. Let me be very clear. I want us to win on Thursday, win the cup final, win the 3, go there and beat them as well. I'm unequivocal about that. But I'm just setting out a standard of what could be a more palatable menu if you're forced to eat from it. I can live with what I'd said earlier.
JB, you're away to Spain on... listen, I'll tell you one thing, more holidays than Thomas Cook. I've never known anyone like it.
Listen, people won't believe you. He's everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere, this guy.
I don't know how you manage it. Have you got a ticket for the game on Thursday? Are you going and maybe just find a friendly bar to plank yourself in front of?
I've got a home end ticket, so I'll be there. I've ordered a royal blue Real Betis t-shirt, so I'm sure I can kit them with the Scouse tan that I'm a local, but we'll see how that works out. But yeah, no, heading over. Me and my dad are heading over on Thursday morning, match day, straight into Seville, and then see the sights, and then hopefully see a good performance of Rangers. I think to Tommy's point earlier, though, do we need, not that we've got a massive options, but do we need to balance things on Thursday? For example, could Sterling come in for Tavernier, and we just go, right, Sterling, just keep it tight. We don't want you bombing on. We don't need a Tavernier-like performance from you, because Sunday is massive.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You can't. It's just, when you say it's going to be like a cup final, it is. So we need to. Do we have what? It's a balance between not having one eye on that. But is there an opportunity to potentially? I mean, Seema is obviously the man in form, so you'd like to think he's going to be playing. But again, can we maximise Rabbi Matondo? Can we? I mean, Cifuentes potentially he's going to start with him not being available at the weekend. I don't think now. So obviously one eye is definitely going to be on that. At least Big Leon Balogun's going to get a rest, because we know not in the Europa League squad, another one. So it's going to be interesting. Roof isn't in the squad, is he?
No.
This would have been an ideal one for him, because again, a little bit of a free hit for us. And then see how we go. But yeah, no, exciting week ahead, and it's let's hope we're sitting here this time next week with big smiles on our faces. So
it'll be Lamos to the rescue.
Don't do drugs, kids. But yeah, it should be. It'll be watch this space, but he could have his bare continent moment, couldn't he, on Thursday or the weekend? So yeah.
I worry he's already had that at Dens Park, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, no, that is a good point, yeah.
Listen, Craig Ray, hi Craig, good to hear from you. The Conference League is a worry, because you naturally expect a good run in that when you drop into that third rung of European football. And he raises a really good point, which takes us really nicely on our last discussion point of the evening, which is having the squad available to compete on 4 fronts this season. I think that's really fair, and one of the things I've taken note of to speak about tonight, Tommy. I'm conscious of time. We do have 5, maybe 10 minutes tops left to go. We often refer to squad rotation as being really important over the course of the season, considering the players that we are missing right now, in the here and now. It's really important that Clermont manages this week, I would argue, so much more importantly than he's done any other week since he's come in, because it's 2 huge games and he's not got loads of bodies to select from.
No, you're right, and hello to Craig as well, by the way. But listen, you're right, squad rotation is always really important, but we've discussed some of that. You know, you go a man down, you turn around, you go, right, I'm going to throw a defender in, and I'm going to ask him just to run doggies in midfield and be a spoiler. Then you're looking at what happens up top, you're looking at who's on the bench. So, yeah, it's going to be it's a bit glib, I suppose, but horses for courses. He's going to have to look at the squad. Some players are going to have to be asked to go again and again and again. To JB's point, we might look to try and mix up. I'm not entirely convinced they'll mix up the tab thing. I think that's a stick on every single game. He's not going to mess with that, I don't think. If anything, you might get lucky and Tab might come off in a game, but I reckon that he's always going to start. He did a bit of that, you know, at the weekend. He went with a centre back pairing and shifted Suter across, you know, to see what it looks like, but he knows that Balogun's not going to be there, so he's expecting Goldson to come back in, all that type of stuff. Everybody's going to have to play a part, but again, that's not a bad thing, because you're turning to your whole squad and you're going, guys, you're all important. I need something from every single one of you. If you want to be in Europa League after Christmas, if you want to be in the cup final or winning a trophy, part of a club that's won the first trophy of the season, if you want to go on that other 3-game run, if you want to be part of going to Parkhead to say, right, title challenge is on, welcome to Rangers. This is what it's supposed to feel like. Winning stuff, being in Europe, going through in the title race. Everything that you might have seen at the start of the season, that's not it. This is the real show. Now stick your jersey on and get out there and run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
That's not a bad message for a manager to be saying to people, because, by the way, I'm also staring at the winter window, and if I don't see it, the only thing you'll be seeing is the door. Really happy with that place. Everybody needs to put their cards right on the table and run through brick walls for them.
Yeah. No, listen, you're absolutely right. It's interesting to think about. Do you know what I mean? You've got all the obvious guys who haven't been, and this is one of the main reasons why I think rotation is going to be really important, because I don't see him throwing it. I don't think Kieran Dowell is even in the Europa League squad. So even if he was fit and or being used, I don't think there's any danger of him being involved. We already know the guys that are missing: Raskin, Jack, Lawrence. I just think there's guys have referred to Bailey Rice in the comments. I wonder if it's an opportunity to sort of give him some time. He's not been involved yet, as we know. And do you know what I mean? The previous manager thought he was the next big, huge thing to come out of the academy. He may yet be. But he's absolutely not been involved. Not a sniff. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And looking ahead, JB, I'll come to you next. Looking ahead very, very quickly to next Sunday, because I will be on next Sunday to hopefully discuss the first time we've won the League Cup Final in over 10 years. I assume you'll be up for it, and I assume at this point, knowing it's against Aberdeen, you're expecting a very, very difficult game, because we know how much they love playing the boys in blue.
Yeah, no, it's to your first question, yeah, I'll be up for it. So it's I think we get back at 2 a.m. on Friday night into Saturday morning. I've got a 10 a.m. appointment breakfast with Santa. Santa overload this week, and then Sunday morning we'll be travelling up for the match, and then we're staying up on the Sunday. So so looking forward to that one. And I won't be sitting in the home end, or certainly won't be sitting in their end, I'll tell you that for free. But no, we've just got to do it, haven't we? I think it's been far too long since we've had our hands on that trophy, and I think Tommy made the point earlier. These players need to live and breathe what it is playing for Rangers. We hoped the 55 league win and the cup win, even a couple of years later, kind of gives some of them a flavour and incentive. But them players are looking tired. So this group of players now have got the chance to kickstart it, and again go into that, get through the rest of these games, win the big blocks as Tommy's touched on, and then get into that winter break and keep building. Let the manager have plenty of time now to assess. He knows who he can trust. and then move into the transfer window if we need to. But as I say, everybody will be absolutely on the ceiling if we can get that win on Sunday.
I should say, sorry, slowly but surely in my mind there's an impromptu This Is Ibrox night out coming together on that day. Very dependent on the result, it has to be said. But okay, that's maybe the diaries are going to get looked at again this evening when I go back in.
Jamie, listen, I'll not ask you to give me a prediction for Sunday, but as you're going on Thursday, I don't want to ask if you would prefer a win or you'd be happy to drop us in the Conference League. Do you think we'll get a win at Betis on Thursday night? They are a good side at home, we have to say.
No. No, I don't think we will. I think it'll be a draw. I think we'll go over there. We'll get a draw. They'll probably come and put us under a lot of pressure early on. They'll come at us. If we can ride the storm, then I think we'll have a chance. But if they come at us early doors and throw everything at us, I mean, this is a team that just off the back of playing Real Madrid, do you know what I mean? And if they're at that level and that standard and they're competing, I think it's going to take a classic European performance. If you give me the full squad, and I'd say, yeah, I think we could potentially handle it, because you know you could make changes after an hour if the players run themselves into the ground. But this group of players, there's and one eye on Sunday. It's got to be balanced. It's got to be balanced so tight. If say for example Cantwell or Seamer, if they're feeling something, I want them dragged off. We don't need heroes. We don't need anyone playing through a tight hamstring to get us over the line on this one. I think there's too much at play, not just on Sunday, but for the block of games up until the end of the month.
Tommy, sort of last word with you. Sunday's obviously the most important of the two games. I would argue there's no shame in European football in 2024, however.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt. Listen, we want to win both games. Right? That's an absolute fair point. We can do the what if, right? No matter what happens, we must have silverware in our hands come Sunday. Right? That's it. So Betis will take care of itself. That's my focus. And Rangers just need to be able to turn around. Philippe Clement needs to be able to turn around and say, this squad, with all their flaws, I have turned into cup winners. Right. Guns are hot. Now we're going to these 3 games, and then we'll see what the 4th one brings as well. So, everything else takes care of itself. To be fair, though, I think I'm with JB. I think it'll be a very, very tough night in Spain.
Tommy, good to have you on, my friend. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
No, that's always nice to. I don't get an appearance fee anymore. That's terrible.
No, you don't. Absolutely not.
There we go.
JB, I'm glad you found time to come on, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Taking a kind of...
He's actually sitting in a plane right now. This is one of those fancy ones that he travels in.
Passport to there.
He's got a passport out. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Listen, it's always good to have you on, JB. I hope you enjoy your night on Thursday night. Safe travels, all the good things. Needless to say, thanks for joining us tonight. Well done.
Yeah, no, cheers. And if anyone has any spares for the Rangers end, then you can find me on Whittle Ranger on Twitter. So just drop me an inbox and I'll drop you a follow back quite quickly. So shameless plug for a ticket. Yeah.
Just contact the main This Is Ibrox account, and I'll look after all those spare tickets for you.
My goodness me. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. Thank you both. From a content perspective, this week, Wednesday night, Kyle is back with Andrew and Kieran, and we will also be doing some post-match stuff after Betis on Thursday night. I did refer to the social media interaction earlier on. I'll do it again very quickly. If you are following across social media, we're available on X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, don't say it. We're also available on Threads. You can get our B Academy Twitter on TII Youth, and the women's is This Is Ibrox, RWFC in capitals. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, follow and subscribe. Ring that bell so each time we do put out any content, you all get a notification. Please join our community and comment on everything we do. It's always good to hear from you. If there's anything you'd like us to do, by all means jump in and let us know. Join Kyle on Wednesday night from 8:30. Good luck to Rangers on Thursday, and safe travels to any Bears going for it. Thanks, bye-bye.